Hello, everybody. This is cycle class number 9. It's titled The Doctor's Opinion. We're going to be coming out of the Doctor's Opinion out of the Big Book, which is where this cycle came from. So we can go over that. I'm excited because we got some new people here with us today. And this is when I saw this, the light bulb went off. And from there, I saw what my problem was, and then I knew there was a solution to my problem finally, and I could recover from being an addict for 20 years. And so I was very excited. And so I get a chance to show this to people for the first time and continue to do it every week because it takes time to sit in. I know for me, it took about a month, and then I was like, whoa. And at first, I knew there was something there, but a month after hearing it over and over again, something really clicked. So we get a chance to go over this today, and let me open a prayer and we'll get started. Dear Lord, we turn this time over to you because we know that without you, none of this is possible. You've given us this information, Lord, that's been available, how to recover from addiction, this world epidemic and plague that you can recover. So I want to thank you for that, Lord. Just use me, and let this fall on the ears and the hearts of who you intended to. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, so we're going to start out of the Doctor's Opinion, out of the Big Book. It's one of the very first things in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And we'll get a chance to go over this cycle and break it down a bit. So let's get started. On page XXV, the Doctor's Opinion, here we go. We of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the reader will be interested in the medical estimate of the plan of recovery. This plan to recover described in this book. So if you're struggling with drugs and alcohol with addiction and you can't seem to stop and you're staying stuck on this cycle of addiction, this may be important to you. This may interest you to hear this and understand that there's a way to recover. There's a way to stay off of this cycle. And it's laid it out pretty well that we want to understand what addiction is, what alcoholism is, what drug addiction is. And it's a spiritual thing first and foremost. It's a spiritual malady that we have. And we understand once we treat the spiritual malady, we straighten out mentally and physically. So we can we can try this and try that and move and everything that we try, stay away from stuff, get a job, get a girl, get a guy, and but until we treat the spiritual condition, we will not get better. And see, that's the thing that went off of me. That's the light bulb that went off. That I heard from this book, that someone was awesome enough to put this on a board and show me my simple what's going on with me. And if you don't treat your spiritual condition, your internal condition, you will not straighten out. If you're a real alcoholic and a real drug addict, and no matter what, you just stay on this cycle, you got to convince. If you're convinced of that for yourself, you will not get better. But 100% guaranteed, if you treat your internal condition, the spirituality, you will get better. So that's what is described in this Doctor's Opinion. That's what gave me hope. That's why you can recover and stay recovered. So that's awesome. Convincing testimony must surely come from medical men who have had experience with the suffering of our members and have witnessed their return to health. A well-known doctor, chief physician at a nationally prominent hospital specializing in alcoholic and drug addiction, gave Alcoholics Anonymous this letter. So that doctor is Dr. Silkworth, okay? And he worked at Towns Hospital in New York. So this is a doctor who had worked with people. He worked with over 40,000 alcoholics and drug addicts. And he came to know that there was a certain type of person that was the real alcoholic, real addict, that had this mind of alcohol, that this mental obsession that you just could not shake without God's help. That we kept thinking that we could control it and enjoy our alcohol and our drugs like a normal person could. When you have that mind that no matter what, you keep going back to it, we lie to ourselves that we can do it, that's what he worked with these people and he saw the destruction that it caused in the person's life and the family's life. So now he was at this place where he started to see people recover. That people started having spiritual experiences and they started to recover. And that was outside his realm a bit. So he was so excited because He personally was trying to help these people, and they would not recover. And not only the person, but the heartache that happened in the family. Could you imagine the kids that he saw? How much heartache that I caused my family and my kid and all the people that I hurt. So this guy just had witnessed all this, Dr. Silkworth. On page 64, it says, when the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. You see, they didn't have the approach to address the spiritual aspect. These are doctors. They came at it with the scientific approach. And some of their approach would work with certain people. But the real alcoholic, real addict was not going to recover without spiritual help. When you treat the spiritual malady, which is what? It's a chronic disease that gets worse and worse. It never gets better. It can be explained like by selfish and self-centeredness. This right here is alcoholism and drug addiction. You have to treat the internal condition, the spiritual malady. Let me tell you how it manifests. It manifests itself in boredom, feelings of uselessness, being self-conscious, always in your head, fear, the RIDs up top, being restless, irritable, discontented, crawling out of your skin, not a happy camper. You're sitting in that. It's kicking your butt, and the lie comes that, oh, maybe this time will be different. Maybe this time I can control it. But then we find out very quickly it's the same old thing. Over and over again. We're back on a spree to truth and consequence. So, this is what this doctor was experiencing, you see? And he just had so much heartache over it. And so, when he started seeing people recover, I mean, this was 80 years ago. 80 years ago, this information was out. And all those years later, I was struggling for 20 years. So 60 years later, I had no idea about any of this. I heard about AA, but it seemed weird. I didn't know. I never read the book. The book's pointing to the power of God. The book's breaking down a cycle. The book's breaking down what's going on internally. And the Bible backs all this up too. We know that AA was birthed from the Oxford movement, a Bible-based movement. So all this stuff is lining up. And I wish I would have known this sooner, because maybe I wouldn't have to suffer for all those years. And more than that, the damage that I caused people. But now here's your chance to pull out of this and stay recovered. But you got to treat the internal condition. See, that's what we were trying to do, everything else, but treat the spiritual internal condition. And without treating that, you're not going to get better if you're the real alcoholic addict, you see? So, here's this doctor putting his name on this, and here's the letter that he wrote. After trying everything else but seeing the suffering, finally these people started to recover, having spiritual experiences involving God. And he put his name on here 80 years ago to endorse what's going on. Because he's like, hey, look, this is working. This is working. And that's what I'm sitting here doing today, telling everybody that this is working. Like, this is going to work for you. 100% guaranteed, depending on the person. Okay. To whom it may concern, I have specialized in the treatment of alcoholism for many years. In late 1934, I attended a patient who, though he had been a competent businessman of good earning capacity, was an alcoholic of a type I had come to regard as hopeless. 1934, this doctor's working in Towns Hospital, specializing in alcohol and drug addiction. He gets this guy who happens to be Bill Wilson, the co-founder of AA. He has his patients on his third visit. He's been in and out, in and out, in and out. But on his third visit, something special happened to him, right? But before that, he had put him in this category where it was an alcoholic of a type I had come to regard as hopeless. What is that category? What is the real alcoholic, real addict? That they're hopeless. This doctor's putting I've seen it before, this person is hopeless. Well, on page 27 of the big book, it talks about it. It says, you have the mind of a chronic alcoholic. I have never seen one single case recover where that state of mind existed to the extent that it does in you. You see, I'm the real alcoholic addict. I had that mind, that sick mind. This sick mind that tells us we can still put the first drink and the first drug back in our body. out of all the times that we fell for it, right? We don't have control. We go on a spree. We have a truth and consequence. How many truth and consequences have we had in our lives, right? You think we would have learned our lesson by then? Yeah, I'm hard-headed, I'm stubborn, but after I went through so many truth and consequences over a 20-year period, you think I would have finally put the drugs and alcohol to the side? But no, I would emerge remorseful. Time and time again, I make a firm resolution. This time it's going to be different. That's it. I'm done with it. I'm tired of going to jail. I'm tired of my life being in the gutter. I'm tired of being miserable. I'm tired of breaking everybody's heart, right? So I make a firm resolution, make all the promises once again. Then why do they turn into broken promises over and over and over and over again? I didn't understand why. But I understand now because I didn't know to treat my spiritual malady. I was trying to move. I was trying to not do this drug, only do this drug, stay away from that crowd. I need a girlfriend, man. Let me have a kid. Let me get a new job, a new car. Let me, all these things I tried. I didn't understand. Until I treat my internal condition, I am not going to change. It's going to be the same old story over and over and over again. So to be in that state of being absolutely hopeless, of having the mind of a chronic alcoholic, here's how it works. So I emerged remorseful, made a firm resolution, made all the promises once again. Mind you, been on the cycle so many times, like it's getting old. It's not fun anymore. Why then did my promise turn into a broken promise? How long did I wait? Did I sit before my sick mind told me maybe a drink or a drug would help? The mind of a chronic alcoholic, that sick mind, this mental obsession that I can control it somehow. Well, let me tell you what's going on the inside of me, why this is happening. You see, the spiritual malady, this chronic disease, the spiritual disease, because I have no relationship with my Creator, I'm not feeding my spirit like I need to, that's kicking my butt big time. I'm restless, irritable, discontented. I'm not a happy camper. I'm crawling out of my skin. I'm trying to stay away because I made firm resolution. I made all the promises. I'm trying to stay away, right? But for too long, that thing gets a hold of me, the spiritual malady, and I grab onto a lie that it's going to be different. It's like the big book says, it's like having a headache. You're trying to change, you have this huge headache, and the thought to grab a hammer and crack yourself in the head with the hammer is going to help your headache. What kind of thinking is that? So we know now, being on this cycle, the last thing we should be doing is putting that first drink back in. Fresh out of jail, new job opportunity, new relationship, parents let you come back in the home, and we're going to stay clean. That's it. I make a firm resolution, all the promises. I'm staying away. Turn over a new leaf. I know I've said it before, but this time I mean it. But if I don't treat the spiritual component, it's going to kick my butt so bad that I will grab onto a lie, a thought that it'll be different this time. Somehow I can put it in my body and I'll have control. As a matter of fact, when I don't address the malady, it gets such a hold on me that I even lose the ability to choose whether or not I'm going to drink or not. That's why I need to understand the problem and the solution, and I need to work a spiritual program of action. I need to stay in the three parts of treating my mind, right? It's my mind, my spirit, and my body. I need to treat my mind and stay recovered by going through the steps, continuing to go through the steps, starting each morning off, asking God for His help, asking Him to direct my thinking, renewing my mind with the Word of God. Okay, so that's my personal recovery, keep my mind right, my perspective right. Then I need to take my physical body around like-minded people, right? That's the unity piece. I need to take my body 3-4 times a week to good book meetings, meeting with my sponsor, go to prayer, life group for church Sunday service, a men's Bible study, a women's Bible study. I need to physically take my body to these things so I have the unity. And the service, the last piece, the best way to treat your spirit is to work with somebody. You have to, it's a must, it's vital to continue to work with somebody. And when we figure all this stuff out, God, the power of God then, the miracle of God, He lifts this mental obsession. The thing that made us, that gave us the mind of a chronic alcoholic, that no matter what, we go back to the first drink and the first drug. When we start treating our spirit and God gets involved and we take action on the spiritual program of action and we stay in the 3 parts, guess what the miracle is? That God lifts this mental obsession to go back and put the first one in our body. That's the solution. And every day you have a daily reprieve. So every day you need to be active, looking to God, around like-minded people, working with somebody, continually going through the steps, taking others through the steps, just being discipled, discipling others. And guess what? A daily reprieve, 100% guaranteed. If you stay in those 3 parts, you'll never go back on this cycle. You'll never relapse. But you can't do it without treating your spirit, addressing the spiritual malady, and you straighten out mentally and physically. Wow. How beautiful, right? How beautiful. So, he had regarded him as that hopeless type, right? So, moving on, halfway down, XXV, it says, in the course of his 3rd treatment, acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. Wow. So he had tried at least 3 times, and other times, I've tried so many times. I know all of us have tried so many times. And all of a sudden, there's hope to recover from this thing and to stay recovered. He said, as part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conceptions to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must do likewise with still others. So there's that 3rd piece, working with others. Now that he has this solution to recover with the power of God, treating his internal condition that only God can treat, staying around like-minded people, he's going back to that hospital and asking to talk to other alcoholics, addicts who could benefit. You give back freely what you've been so freely given. That's that 3rd piece. Treating the best way to treat the spirit is working with others. You see how it's laid out right here? And it says this, that it's a must. Who knows what that word means? It's a must. It isn't think about it, and if you have time, or if you decide that that's something you want to do, it's okay, no rush, it's up to you. No. Must means must. It's a vital to your recovery, to my recovery, that I'm available to work with others. And this stuff is 100% guaranteed to work. How exciting is that? Okay, moving on. This has become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and their families. This man and over 100 others appear to have recovered. This is written in the 30s. So this man and at least 100 others, this doctor who's been baffled by addiction, he could not help. There was a certain type he could not help. They would not stop no matter what. And all of a sudden he's seeing these people recover. That once were hopeless, then now they're recovering. And we're understanding how it works and what was going on. That we need God's help to recover. We need to also be active in our recovery by being around like-minded people and helping others. So this doctor who was so perplexed by this thing, he saw the heartache. Now he's seeing people recover. Since when have you seen a medical doctor put his name down when it comes to the things of God? Out of their realm of science. This is the supernatural realm. And in this realm, people get the healing they've been looking for. How are you going to treat your inside spirit without a God who's spirit? No pill, no matter of talking. You're beyond human aid, right? And he's seeing these people recover, so he's super excited. And this has been available for 80 years. And some of us are just hearing about it for the first time. So we have a responsibility to keep getting this message out, right? And work with people. And then once you have this miracle, you need to be available to work with others, okay? That's the bottom of Doctors, the first page. I personally know scores of cases who were of the type with whom other methods had failed completely. Wow. So what is that type? The type that has the mind of a chronic alcoholic, the real addict, that no matter what, they will not stop. That type, okay? Me. And if that's you, then receive it. Be honest with yourself. Your history will tell you if you're that type. How many truth and consequences have you had? How many times have you emerged remorseful? How many firm resolutions? How many broken promises have you made? This is it. I'm done. I'm stopping. I'm moving. I'm out of jail. I'm this. I'm that. You'll know for yourself. You think you would have stopped by now if you could on your own power? I think you would have. You know, especially by now. So you have to decide, are you that one? And it's a beautiful thing. At first, we feel awkward because we don't want to be different from other people. And we have friends and family that still can enjoy beer at a ball game. And it's kind of hard. Our pride maybe is messing with us. But it's the most beautiful thing ever. When you surrender to this and you open up to God, you enter in the realm of the Spirit where you're focused and you're anxious to do God's will instead of your own will. Oh, man, there's something so beautiful that comes from that. Okay, last sentence on the page. These facts appear to be of extreme medical importance. What do you think? Are these facts of extreme medical importance? I think they are. If you look at right now, the plague that addiction is to the whole world, not to the United States only, to the whole world. And there's a solution to addiction. So this is of extreme importance, of medical importance, that we got to treat the spiritual malady in the mind and the body straight now. Like, come on now. People can be in our lives to talk through things and this and that, but no pills are going to treat what we're trying to treat here. And that's been the approach. And sadly, it makes people way worse off than they ever were before. And there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to family members who want what's best for their loved one and encourage them to stay on these pills that aren't helping, first of all, and are making them worse. So I'm just here blowing the horn on that stuff. Because you need to be treating your spirit with God, not with pills. Okay? Now, this is of extreme medical importance. Because of the extraordinary possibilities of rapid growth inherent in this group, they may mark a new epoch in the annals of alcoholism. Why is it important? Because this information, people can recover from this debilitating thing that has ruined their lives and everyone who knows them and loves them, their life. So this is of extreme importance because if this information got out and people knew that alcoholism and drug addiction were a spiritual thing, spiritual malady, and if you treat the spiritual malady with the suggestions of the spiritual program of action, staying in the 3 parts, people will recover. So this is of extreme importance. 80 years this has been out, and it's the plague of the world still. So what's going on? Of course, this is of extreme importance because many, many people will recover and can recover. You got to surrender to the process. Stay available. Open yourself up to God on your own terms, in your own way, and take suggestions of the spiritual program of action. Don't you think this is of extreme importance that many people could recover and this could be an epic in the annals of alcoholism? But 80 years later, alcoholism is still just wrecking shop all over the world, and drug addiction? Like, come on. See? We're going to put a dent in this thing right here in this room. We're going to start right here in this room, and we're going to put a dent in this worldwide pandemic, okay? So these men may well have a remedy for thousands of such situations. You may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. Wow. They may have a remedy. What? A remedy to fight against alcoholism and drug addiction for those hopeless people that have that chronic mind of an alcoholic addict that no matter what keep going back and staying on this cycle. That there's a remedy for that. What? Don't you think that is of extreme importance? I do. So we need to keep working with people, get this message out there. And once you have this miracle happen for you, you need to stay available. You don't get saved and get a spiritual experience and get off drugs and alcohol to go back and live your life. See, I don't agree with that. You'll have a life and enjoy things, and God, that's you. God will bless you because God blesses. But you have to be mindful of wanting to give back what you were so freely given. Because a lot of times when you aren't doing that, you lose it anyway. And you're having to start back over. So we want to make this stuff very, very clear moving forward. 5 more minutes? Okay, 5 more minutes. So he's saying, Now, you may really rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. Very truly yours, William D. Silkworth, MD. Here he signed his name. This guy put his name. This is so rare and unheard of that people in the medical field would put their endorsement on something outside of their realm. We're talking about the supernatural, we're talking about the power of God, that to treat alcoholism and drug addiction, it's an internal thing that you have to treat the spiritual malady, the spiritual disease, and he's putting his name on it and endorsing it and signing it. Like, when has this happened since, is my question. And I'm just learning as I go. I don't have all the answer. I don't know the big book in and out. Surely don't know the Bible in and out. I have experience that I can share. I don't have all the answers. I'm learning as I go. I don't want to rest on my laurels. I want to continue to grow spiritually. And I have a lot of pride and fear and different things that I'm sorting through. So if I say something or you don't agree with what I'm saying or my outlook on things, that's fine. You don't have to agree with everything I'm saying. I'm still learning, a work in progress. But to get this information out there from what happened to me, where my spirit's been awakened and God has like transformed me and started this process, I want people to experience that. And we have a real answer. It's not like we're like, oh, I hope this will work. I don't know, man. It was a wing and a prayer. No, it's 100% guaranteed to work. So we want to give people time to have their eyes open and get the Spirit of God in you so you can see the Word and understand the Word and you can respond to God, right? Because you will never look back and you won't ever regret it. So I think we'll stop right there. He signed his name on it. We'll pick up on XXVI, the second paragraph, the physician who. We'll pick up there. It's just so awesome that we have an understanding of what the real problem is now and how to fight and have the solution for the problem so you can guarantee that a person can recover and stay recovered and never go back on this cycle. You may get goofy in your mind and feel this way and feel that way. Who isn't going to feel depressed and have anxiety and fear sometimes? That's part of being alive. You don't run to take a pill to deal with that stuff. You work through it, look to God, have people in your life. Working with someone's going to take away your depression and anxiety faster than anything else. You know why? Because it gets you out of self. The reason why you feel anxiety and you're depressed because you're in your head and you're focused on yourself. You can't be depressed if you're not focused on yourself. So all this is set up to take action, a spiritual program of action, to treat these things that we used to run and treat it with a pill. Try this first, at least, and see what happens. So we'll pick up next week. God bless you. Have a great day.